Tonight I've got a couple of bones that don't need to be picked. First of all, this whole 12-step nonsense, I'm just grateful today for a couple of different things. First of all, I'm grateful that I don't identify myself as an addict for a long time. I did have problems with addiction, as in drug habits, and those have been over now for almost 28 years, and I'm very grateful for that. Also, I did use the fellowship and program in Narcotics Anonymous for what it was worth, and in the end, what it was worth is a distraction from the addiction. As far as any personal development and growth, very little was achieved there because of the self-deprecation and the shame. First of all, to tell somebody that they have an incurable fatal disease that's going to kill them if they don't stop it when it is a matter of choice is a very dangerous oxymoron and erroneous belief. And then when you hear the cult talk that goes on there, that goes along with that, it's very dangerous. No wonder people who never were IV drug users go out, use IV drugs, and die. It's no wonder that happens. So I'm very grateful for what I got from there, which really lost its effectiveness after a couple of years. And I'm grateful that I went and did a bunch of self-development work. I also don't believe that the years and years I had of counseling and psychotherapy on the process level did me any good. In fact, I know they didn't do me any good. I've done so much better with other types of self-development than those that it's not even funny. Also, I'm very grateful that I found self-development programs through people I met inside and outside of the 12-step program. These days, I really have a strong disdain for 12-step programs and Alcoholics Anonymous in particular. I happened to go to a couple of meetings over the holidays with a friend who wanted to go to support another friend, and both of us found it a very unhealthy emotionally and psychological environment. Not to mention that it was just another form of cult secular Christianity. And we're really glad to get out of those places. And if I never go to another meeting again, I think it'll be too soon. Anyway, and I'm grateful that I have these experiences I can turn on to know that I'm safe in choosing the path that I have. Now, I believe that addiction, when it's recognized, is choice. Sometimes addictions seem to get started as, by accident or, is forced upon people or a means of dealing with stress or trauma. And at some point, almost every person with addiction knows that they have a choice in the matter. And I made a choice and I quit and I overcame it. And I don't have drug addiction. It's not a disease. I don't have it anymore. By the same token, I'm grateful for the concept of abstinence for me. Some people can practice moderation and they do very well with it, apparently. I have no need of these mind-altering substances. They were very unhealthy for me. They made me feel physically unhealthy, even when used on a short-term basis. And I did experience a lot of short-term use in moderation. They really didn't have a beneficial effect. Meditation and exercise and relaxation do a lot more for me than drugs ever did. So, and I love my abstinence. I love not taking drugs and staying clean. That's another term that I picked up that was useful. I like staying clean, and I like what it does for me physically. Physically, I have a pretty healthy life because of that. And my life in drug association was not very healthy. So I have no desire to smoke anything or drink anything or pop a bunch of pills or do any of that anymore. And, the identity, the addict identity that's fostered in these fellowship meetings is a very, very self-deprecating, very trapped set of beliefs because, you're told you have a fatal, incurable disease and that if you're not there, your alternative is jail, institutions, and death. And I don't really know that to be the case. I kept running into people after I got out of the rooms, and while I was making the decision to get out of there, I kept running into people who had stopped going to meetings who were still abstinent, who were still clean. And I asked them why, and they said we just couldn't take that self-deprecating talk and all the cult speak that goes on there. And, I'm going to tell you right up front, these programs, I hesitate to call them that because they're really just nothing more than cult jibber jabber. Even their literature is cult. They're cults. They engage in brainwashing and mind control. And that whole concept, they have no leaders. They do too have leaders. There's leaders all over the place, self-appointed ones, in fact. And you can try to refute me as much as you want, but I was in that game for 23 years, and I was one of the leaders, even though I refrained from calling myself as such. But people do use you when you have this supposed recovery as role models. The supposed recovery that I have was really self-development, which I got from places other than the 12-step program of Narcotics Anonymous, or even worse, Alcoholics Anonymous. The best thing that I did was to get out of there and to get away from it. And socially, I stayed there because I was looking to hook up with women. And I did hook up with quite a few women over the years. The thing of it is, though, is it was trying to get a date in a mental institution. When people have very erroneous, self-deprecating, self-limiting beliefs, they're not the kind of people that I really could best associate with. And in going to other real self-development programs, I found women and people I could associate with that were it was always healthy, and there was almost always good decisions and choices made, and it was a very empowering, self-supporting environment. So much so that I don't need any social environments anymore. I do interact very much socially, and I still have friends from the 12-step programs. I still have those friends. We just don't talk about that nonsense, thank goodness. And the ones that are centered in God, I don't associate with those people. I'm an atheist. I like being an atheist. I like hanging around with other atheists or with people who don't exude their quote spiritual unquote life. I don't like spirituality and what it's purported to mean in its generic sense. Don't like religion. I don't like any of that. What I like is good, rational, free thinking, and those types of mindsets. And I don't waste a bunch of time deprecating the other beliefs. However, I do like to point out frequently that these are beliefs that have basically caused the demise of our society on a philosophical and rational level. So they do need to be broken down, deconstructed, and discarded and reframed into more empowering trains of thought. Anyway, so, I can tell you this, that, I have a lot of happiness that I create for myself all the time. I don't have to have anything or anyone to feel happy. I can feel happy right now, just like that. And it's a true state of happiness. I can leave any depressions or any anxieties behind and do all the time. I don't get very many of them because of that ability and because of that practice. So I want to encourage you, if you had a problem with addiction, to just overcome it and leave it behind like most people do who you don't find in these 12-step programs and recovery programs. Most people quit on their own, do it very successfully, and find something that will help you develop yourself, get rid of those limiting beliefs, and empower you. There's plenty of these types of programs or these types of seminars around. And if you will actually do the work and continue it, you'll find yourself creating an empowered, loving, caring existence, and those around you will blossom in your presence, unless, you don't choose new friends. If you choose new friends, of course, if you have different playmates, you'll change. Anyway, I appreciate anybody watching this. I hope you've gotten something out of it. It made me feel better to do it, and I'm really glad to leave all of that other nonsense behind and keep moving towards a more empowered, self-developing life where happiness is just a state that I can get into and am into anytime I want. Have a great day or a great night.